unused to the climate. I think that if man ever found a place to live easy and happy, that Eden is on Puget Sound. Eden is on Puget Sound. That Eden is on Puget Sound. A place to live easy and happy. That Eden is on Puget Sound.
Hello, you are listening to the Seattle Files. My name is Chris Allen, I'm your host. Every week I get together with a different local comedian, and together we discuss the strange, unusual, interesting, and oftentimes lesser-known aspects of our local history. Before we get into today's episode, I have a bit of an announcement to make. The Seattle Files is transitioning, and I'm expanding into what I'm calling the Northwest Files, which instead of podcast, it's going to be filmed, and I'm going to try to raise the money in order to film a really good pilot for that to shop around. I have an Indiegogo page set up, so if you go to Indiegogo and type in the Northwest Files, you can check that out. I've got some really great rewards if you're willing to make a donation. I've got t-shirts, I've got memorabilia from the 1962 World's Fair, I've got some great Mariners memorabilia, so if you're all interested in checking that out, please go to Indiegogo and check out the Northwest Files. Joining me today on the program, though, is Justin Sund. How's it going, Justin?
It's going great. I'm so nervous.
You're so nervous? Don't be nervous.
I don't know why I'm nervous, but I am. And
Okay.
let's just leave it at that. I'll talk about it a lot. I'll try to self-edit. But here we are.
Sounds
good.
good.
And I'm so happy to be here.
Sounds good. So Justin is a former member of Jet City Improv. He's been working recently with John and Ryan's Half-Hour Comedy Hour, which just performed at The Pocket. What else? Anything else you're doing these days?
Dreaming about improv,
Dreaming.
comedy.
Yeah.
No, missing it.
Missing it.
Loving it.
Loving it. Living it.
But no, just working.
Just working.
Working.
Just working.
Yeah.
Cool. How long have you lived in the Seattle area?
Well, I was born in Enumclaw, also known as Enum Scratch. Moved to Tillamook.
Do people really call it that?
We call it that.
Is that an affectionate pet name?
I guess so. A lot of my family did grow up and lived in Enumclaw for quite some time, or that area, Auburn, Kent area. But I moved to Seattle when I was 4 from Tillamook, and then basically I've been here 28 years on and off since then.
Cool. How much do you know about local history?
Zero.
Nothing.
Nothing.
All right.
I'm an idiot.
Wow. Okay.
Basically, yeah. On a scale of like scholar to a rock, I'm somewhere between like asshat and dickhead.
Okay. We all know where that falls on that scale.
Pretty low.
We're all familiar with the scholar to rock scale, so.
Yeah. I for some reason I just never got into history. I was so into myself and just things that are happening now. I just never could take a look back.
Oh, you're like a Buddhist monk, just living in the present.
Absolutely. I love hearing about it and learning about it, but I cannot commit it to memory. There was a recent BuzzFeed article that said, we asked people if they know the actual names of their favorite band, and if they didn't get it, they got a pie in the face. And it was literally like, okay, what is the lead singer of Smashing Pumpkins? And people didn't know it. I'm that guy.
Okay.
I will love something undyingly and know nothing.
You didn't know Billy Corrigan?
No, I know Billy Corrigan.
Okay.
Yeah. Trey Anastasio from Fish, and that's about where it ends.
Okay. Yeah. So Billy Corrigan, Trish Anastasio, that's the amount of history that you know.
Yes.
All right.
That is fair.
Then we're going to dive into a whole new world right now because this episode is about neither of them.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
Damn it.
So you don't know what we're going to be talking about. So let's get right into it.
Great.
Baseball was invented, allegedly, by Abner Doubleday in 1939. Doubleday would later go on to become a Civil War hero. But there is a lot of dispute over this. And Doubleday never claimed to have invented baseball.
Wait. Dispute over him being a Civil War hero?
No, dispute over whether or not he invented baseball.
All right.
He claimed he did not invent baseball.
Okay.
The game.
He claimed?
He claimed, yeah. He never claimed to have invented baseball.
Whoa. Someone else is like, yo, dog, you made this. And he was like, no.
Yes.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he was falsely given credit for inventing baseball. Isn't that crazy?
I want to talk about this forever. But we must move on.
There's a lot of interesting. If you go online, you can find a lot of information about why people credited him with baseball. It had a lot to do with Cooperstown and wanting to give credit to Cooperstown for being the birthplace of baseball.
This would be like me. Like I would invent like the world's greatest computer, and I'd be like, nah, this guy worked really hard on putting the CPU in.
Mm-hmm. So you would just give the credit of the computer to someone else?
Yeah, I would.
Well, the game borrows a great deal from cricket and rounders, both of which were brought to the U.S. by European immigrants, and variation of those games were played in the Americas for years. So a bunch of people kind of are all playing a similar game to this. It's not that one guy says, this is what the game is. Till 1845, a group of New Yorkers formed the New York Knickerbocker Baseball Club.
Sure.
You know about this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you do know more than Billy Corgan and a train
I watched the baseball thing that whatever his documentary butt did with my dad.
Ken Burns?
Yeah.
Documentary butt.
Ken Burns, that's his name.
Yeah.
I just remember him from his awesome haircut.
Oh, he's
which
great.
Has never changed.
So they set a formal set of rules, including a diamond-shaped field, foul lines, and three strikes out rule, as well as getting rid of then common practice of tagging out runners by throwing the ball at them.
Like kickball rules.
Yeah.
They got rid of the kickball rules.
Got rid of the kickball rules. It's dangerous.
Was that like... I forget. Could you hit someone in the face, or did you have to avoid them?
I don't know. I know if you hit the body, they were out. But I don't know if there were rules about hitting somebody in the face or not.
I bet you there were guys who just went for the face.
Oh, I'm positive there were.
I'm not a face thrower, but you know this.
I'm sure there were some jacked up, like testosterone-ridden dudes that were just like, gotta get my aggression out.
Curling their mustache, spitting their tobacco, throwing the baseball at your face.
Lifting giant circular weights.
Bowling pins, throwing those around. Oh my goodness.
Oh my.
Sorry everybody.
We've got a beverage down. You couldn't see this, but he got really into the throwing the bowling pins around thing, and it.
Luckily, I have an adult version of a sippy cup.
That's true. That cup has a lid. The first baseball club in Seattle was called the Dolly Varden and was formed in 1872. It was named after a Charles Dickinson character. Dolly Varden Baseball Club.
Which Dickens novel?
I don't know what novel. Dolly Varden.
So I'm assuming Dolly Varden is a lady?
I believe so.
So they were named...
The Dolly Varden.
The ladies.
Dolly Varden, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Not plural, just Dolly Varden.
Just Dolly Varden. Not the Dolly Vardens. Just Dolly Varden. It was just the weirdest name for a baseball team.
This has got to be like a Paramount ploy, like to back when if there were movie studios back then, they would be like, oh, we're going to name it after this movie. It'd be like the Seattle Avatar.
It's a cross-promotional deal, I'll tell you. We don't know what movies are. We don't know what cross-promotion is. We just love Dolly Varden. A second team was formed in 1877 called the Alkis, which played at Georgetown Seattle Race Course on a makeshift baseball diamond.
So not an Alki.
They didn't play in Alki. They played in Georgetown.
Okay.
This team would only last 2 years. The Great Seattle Fire was in 1889, and the following year, the city was still being rebuilt. Seattle got its first professional baseball team. The team was named the Seattles, and played in the Pacific Northwest League.
That's dope.
It's better name than Dolly Varden.
Seattle, yeah.
Seattle, the Seattle Seattles.
We should probably change the name. Do you guys want to be the Dolly Vardens anymore? Nah.
Yeah, and it's also interesting because Chief Seattle had just died about 20 years ago at this point.
Oh, wow. So there's
25 years ago.
Still dancing on his grave.
Yeah,
I heard that if you mention their name, they can't sleep forever, essentially, right?
Something like
Something
that.
along those lines?
There's I've heard that there's according to the lore that you can't say a chief's name after he dies, or he'll never be at rest.
Right.
So, yeah, but they named the team the Seattles. And the team did well.
Great name.
And in 1892 won the pennant. The following year, the stock market crashed, causing the Panic of 1893, and the young league went under.
So this is the Pacific Coast League?
This is the Pacific Northwest League.
Okay. Pacific Coast League is what still exists today. Okay.
So this is the Pacific Northwest League. So they're just constantly getting these teams. They're going under. Get a new team, goes under.
And Wall Street sank the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
They are the housing market of 1903?
1893.
1893.
Mm-hmm.
See?
Panic of 1893.
I'm not a history guy.
Many more small teams popped up in the next few years, including the Klondikers, the Rainmakers, the Clam Diggers, the Chinooks, the Siwashes, the Giants, the Rainiers, and the Indians.
That is a number of teams.
That's a lot of teams, yeah. None of them played on official baseball diamonds, but in parks on temporary established playing fields.
So, how established are these playing fields?
Not very established. Basically, they're just going to parks, and they're building a temporary field, they're playing, and then they're breaking down the field. So think when you were a kid and you would play that Frisbee is first base, and that...
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's like that.
So they use Frisbees for bases.
Yeah.
and they kept the kids from playing, so the kids would show up at the field, and they'd be like, "No, kid, you can't."
Yeah,
use
I
this
say,
stupid-"
Bartholomew, this is an adult's game.
I want to use the puck. I got a hoop. I got to push with a stick. Mm-hmm. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chasing a hoop down a dirt road with a stick, big fun back then. Big fun.
I heard in the original rules that Andrew Doubleday says he didn't, invent, that they actually had to roll hoops everywhere they went.
Everywhere.
You're catching a ball? Yeah, you're like pushing a hoop around, trying to catch the ball through the hoop. It was a much more difficult game.
That sounds very challenging.
Yeah. It was.
In 1907, former professional baseball player from Kansas City Cowboys, Dan Dugdale, built the very first ever official baseball stadium in Seattle on Yesler Way and 12th baseball diamond in Seattle on Yesler Way and 12th Avenue. Mm-hmm. Dugdale was a shrewd businessman and had come to Seattle in 1898 at the heart of the Klondike Gold Rush and speculated on local real estate. He made a fortune and decided the best way to spend it was to bring the game he loved to his new home. So 12th and Yesler, we got our first dedicated baseball diamond.
Great.
On some land he owned in the Rainier Valley, he built Dugdale Park, the first double-decker baseball stadium in the United States. You know about Dugdale Park? You're smiling and nodding knowingly. He's also Justin is also wearing a Seattle Mariners hoodie right now. So
I am. I also live close to where this is all happening.
Okay, you lived by where Dugdale Park was.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I live about 5 blocks from there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
12th and Yesler. I'm right up by the old Amazon building. Oh. This is all in my backyard.
Oh, nice.
Ostensibly, awesome. Right?
Cool. The Dugdale Park could seat 15,000 spectators and was built solely with baseball in mind. It was built in 5 weeks and opened in 1912.
And it was made of baseball.
Yeah, exactly. It was solely made of hope and nostalgia.
Here, baseballs, get your baseball. People eating baseballs.
And building it in 5 weeks started a long and proud tradition of quickly manufactured stadiums here in Seattle.
So 5 weeks.
5 weeks.
What can you do in 5 weeks? Because I couldn't train for a half marathon in 5 weeks. I can't fall in love in 5 weeks. Maybe you could.
I can take an 8-week class that I drop out of in 5 weeks.
You could.
That's something.
I think 5/8. I mean, that's a failing grade. That's passing. Oh no. Well, 50% is a D. I failed college.
5/8 is more than 50%.
That's 60.
Yeah.
So you multiply the 5. It's 100%. Base 12.
Base 12. All right. Yeah. So 5/8 or 100% is how long it took them to build this stadium.
It took them 100% of the time it took them to build the stadium. Okay,
that is
move
accurate.
On from there.
Yes.
So sorry.
Yeah. Dugdale Park was the home of the Seattle Giants, a popular and successful team who played in the Pacific Coast League and won the pennant twice, the second time in 1919. The team changed their name to the Indians and won the pennant again in 1924. The team was also briefly known as the Rainiers and the Purple Sox. Mm-hmm. Thousands of men, women, and children took in games until 1932. After a fireworks display on the 4th of July, the stadium caught fire and burned to the ground.
Why did we make this out of baseball bats?
The incident was strange because the fire didn't seem to start until after the show. Some thought it was the loose embers that set the blaze, but it was later revealed to be the work of a serial arsonist, Robert Driscoll, who had set an additional 114 fires throughout Seattle.
Okay, all right. So we've got baseball in Seattle
from
the 1900s. This is 1931.
Yeah, baseball kind of comes in 1880s.
We've won a few pennants.
Or 1872. We won
and to celebrate some dude who's already started 113 other fires. Mm-hmm. Starts another fire. He's an artist. He loves fire.
And if you see a giant structure made out of wood, and it was built in 5 weeks.
How ballsy is it to become a serial arsonist in a city after a great fire, sort of eradicated it at one point?
Oh, that's true. This is about 50 years after the fire.
Well, 50 years is... I don't really care about that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
We seem to have a history of arsonists in this city.
Well, the Great Fire wasn't caused by arson.
No, I know it wasn't. I know exactly what happened, but I can think of in recent memory we had the arsonists that did the Greenwood thing.
There was the Pang warehouse in the 90s.
Right.
That was an insurance scam.
It was. When I was a kid, though, I seem to remember there being an arsonist running around the city and did 20 different fires.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know.
Interesting. I don't remember that.
It was me.
It was you, okay. So you heard it here first.
This
whole podcast has actually been an elaborate ruse in order to get you to confess. So as soon as you leave, the police are waiting outside, and we've got you.
I'm so sorry.
We've got you on Audacity.
Seattle, America. It's all me.
Yeah,
it's been me this whole time. Mm-hmm. Okay, so
the team
burns down.
The stadium burns down. So the team played for a time on Memorial High School Stadium in what is now the Seattle Center. The field had no grass and was not suitable for baseball. Some players likened the field to playing in the street.
I liken going to a concert there to playing in the street.
Yeah,
in Memorial Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been there?
Oh yeah, many times.
Yeah.
I saw Beck there at Bumbershoot a couple of years ago.
I think my last time I was there, it was Guns N' Roses.
Oh, nice.
Van Halen. It was Van Halen. A lot of cocaine and jump kicks that night.
On stage, or?
Yes.
Oh. Temporary lights were put up on makeshift poles along the foul lines, which players frequently collided with or missed easy catches when the pole got in the way. Players were not happy with the field, but the Depression-era youth of Seattle loved it. There were plenty of places where one could sneak in, and children were able to watch the games without having to fork over admissions fees.
Typical Seattleites.
Yeah.
Avrats hanging out.
And I'm guessing they were all wearing big pantaloons and suspenders with hats and... Yeah.
Let's go down to the baseball meet.
And selling papers for a nickel apiece.
We're going to throw some of them peanuts.
The team was in trouble. Admissions were down, the field was a mess, and the management was spotty. Player Paul Gregory said, quote, "We had gone about a month and a half without a payday, and we had a big day on a Sunday with a big crowd. We went out and took infield practice, then we all went back into the clubhouse and put on our sit clothes and went and sat in the stands. Klepper came rumbling down, wondering what was the matter. We explained to him that we hadn't been paid and we weren't going to play unless we were. So he sent us back to the clubhouse and brought 2 or 3 sacks of money down and paid us off. I often said that was the first and shortest strike in baseball."
What a great story. I mean, you go, you put on your civvies, you go back out, you sit down, cross your arms, and you wait for the boss to come down with sacks of money. Presumably with dollar bill signs on them.
I didn't have that in my notes, but I'm sure we're all picturing burlap sacks with a big dollar sign on it.
Maybe 2 just like potato sacks.
Yeah.
Money is heavy.
Yeah.
Money is really heavy.
Money is not light. The team continued to play in Memorial Stadium until 1937. The final game of the season was an eventful one, but not because of what happened on the field. The team had been using some creative accounting, and federal agents showed up at the gate demanding to see their receipts. The team had been evading their taxes for years, and the feds were attempting to catch them in the act.
At the last base, during a baseball
during
game.
The game. Well, they're not going to expect it. They're not going to have time to cover their base, so they're just coming in while the game is still going on.
Show me the receipts. That is so hilarious.
This is such a 1930s thing.
I know,
to be happening.
absolutely, absolutely. They brought their Tommy guns in. Yeah, give me the receipts, boys.
The field manager beat the feds to the till and threw the cash into the crowd, yelling, quote, "The city's got the rent money now. You fellows can fight for the rest."
And then the fight started.
Oh, I'm sure it did. But just grabbing the till full of money and just throwing out into the audience. Great. Terrific.
My wife, just quick anecdote. My wife, she has a cheesecake shop in some sort of famous place in the Seattle, Pike Place Market. Someone came by, swiped their tip jar. Mm-hmm. Destiny, being the woman she is, she immediately leapt from behind the counter and started chasing this person down.
That sounds about right.
As they were grabbing other tip jars. And so, as she's running after this woman, she just starts throwing the tip money in the air because everyone would come grab the money and block Destiny's way. Much in the same way.
Did it work?
She got far enough away from the market that by the time the market police saw her, they were like, "Well, we can't leave the market. We're market police."
Really? They couldn't chase her out?
They could not.
Were they worried that she was creating a diversion for the real market thieves to come in?
Correct.
Because that's
which is market security.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's another episode.
Yeah, market police, market security.
Sorry, but
market detectives, the market lieutenants.
Money makes a great. I mean, we've all seen it in the movies. It makes a great diversion.
Yeah. Oh yes.
If you have some, use it.
Bill Kellifer, manager for the visiting team, the Sacramento Senators, was livid at the display because he was supposed to get 40% of the sales. He took to the stands looking for a lawyer, any lawyer who could help him. So he just starts walking through the stand saying, is anybody a lawyer? I need a lawyer. I am the manager of the Sacramento Senators, and I need a lawyer.
And that's $4,000 or whatever.
The Seattle Indians won the game, 4-1. With all this stuff going on.
Do you think it's just like happening, like in the stands?
Yeah,
the game's going
that's
on.
exactly
like
what's happening.
A Busby Berkeley film happening.
Just chaos in the stands. Yeah.
Oh my goodness,
it's madness. The Indians were a second-rate team who finished the season in complete financial peril. Fortunately, the owner of the Rainier Brewery, Emil Sick, was contacted via Teamster leader Dave Beck. Sick was the son of a German immigrant brewer and a graduate of Stanford. Sick went to Canada during Prohibition and climbed his way to the president of the Associated Brewers. He returned to the U.S. after Prohibition ended, and the down economy created a huge market for alcohol that made Sick successful.
This is so smart. So, Prohibition happens.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's sick. He knows about beer.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes to Canada.
Yep.
And he runs the beer market.
Yep.
And then when Prohibition disappears, he's like, sup, dogs?
Yeah.
I know about beer. Y'all need beer real fast? I could get some beer here.
That's pretty much exactly what happened.
That's
and that is what he
sick.
said. Sup, dogs.
That's
I know about beer.
Well, my vernacular from that time is not up to speed.
Mm-hmm.
But
Hey, sup, dog? I know about beer, yo.
What's happening?
He and Dave Beck were good friends, and Beck had been offered free part ownership of the Indians, but had no interest in running a baseball team. And Sick bought the team for $100,000. Sick thought it would be a great promotion for his beer to have a baseball team, so he bought the Indians and changed their name back to the Rainiers. Mm-hmm. Not wanting his new team to play in a rundown field, he invested $250,000 and built Sick Stadium, the site on the site of destroyed Dugdale Park. The new team and stadium were massively successful, and the effort to promote Rainier beer worked perfectly. Edo Vanni said, quote, "They had a blue law in Seattle at that time, and you couldn't sell beer on Sundays. So we never pitched Hal Turpin on Saturday night because he'd pitch a ball game in an hour and 20 minutes. They'd pitch Dickie Barrett, and he'd pitch a 3-hour ball game, and that would be their best beer night. Turpin would pitch on the Sunday afternoon."
This is smart. Managing around beer sales.
Around the beer laws, yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
We'll pitch, the longest game should be on Saturday because we'll sell the most beer. Shortest game should be on Sunday because who cares? We can't sell beer that day.
Church and whatever else happens on Sundays. I don't know. I usually sleep through Sundays.
Yeah, just Saturday night to Monday morning.
Yeah. Doesn't exist.
The team would be casually referred to as the Suds.
Dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
The Rainiers played their first game in Sick Stadium June 15th, 1938. The star player was 18-year-old local pitcher Fred Hutchinson, who had just graduated from Franklin High School and would go on shortly to move up to the Major League and play for the Detroit Tigers. He played in the majors for 10 years with a 95-71 winning record and a 3.73 ERA. The Rainiers won the pennant 3 years in a row. Mm-hmm. Rainiers are doing real well.
They were a good team.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Players such as JoJo White, Gilly Campbell, Dick the Darning Needle Geiselman, and Bill Schuster the Rooster Schuster became household names.
Bill Schuster the Rooster Schuster! So he was a rooster who was also a Schuster.
Yeah.
That was also a Schuster.
He was. Exactly.
What was the one right before that? Bill the Darning Needle?
Dick the Darning Needle Geiselman.
Dick the Darning Needle Geiselman.
Which is just, you couldn't call someone the Darning Needle anymore.
No.
But that's perfect.
You'd be like the pistol whip.
Yeah, he'd be the Twitter hashtag. Or, I don't know.
The internet troll.
Sammy the Snapchat Scar Gun Dun.
Richard Dick Pick Stevenson. Okay.
The league was the announcer Leo Lassen,
Leo Dick Pick Lassen,
better known as the Great Gabbo, had popular catchphrases such as "Hang on to those rocking chairs." Because everybody's sitting around in rocking chairs.
Does not bode well for the age of the audience.
It's the 30s, yeah.
Hold on to your rocking chairs.
The league was suspended for World War II. For a time after World War II, the Steelheads, a team from the West Coast Baseball Association, one of the country's many Negro leagues, played in Sick Stadium as well. So the Negro leagues are playing in Sick Stadium, too.
Awesome.
In 1955, Fred Hutchinson retired from the major leagues and returned to Seattle to become the Rainiers' general manager. Televised major league games caused attendance at minor league games to drop, and the team was sold to the Boston Red Sox as a farm team, who in turn sold it to Los Angeles, who changed the name to the Seattle Angels and used it as a farm team as well. Yeah. So we lost the Rainiers.
Boston and Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
That's like 2 STDs at once.
Yeah.
I've got HPV and the herp. No!
Frederick, 2 STDs at once, Johnson.
And great googly moogly George.
In 1964, Fred Hutchinson died of cancer at age 45. And today, the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center now bears his name.
Yep.
In 1967, Major League Baseball granted the rights to the creation of a new American League team to Dewey and Max Soriano. The team would later be called the Seattle Pilots. The only stipulation was that they had to build a new domed stadium to accommodate the team.
And we all know.
We know where this is going. On February 13th, 1969, Seattle voters passed a $40 million bond measure at the urging of speakers such as Joe DiMaggio and Mickey Mantle for the construction of the Kingdome. There was trouble from the outset.
Oh, man. $40 million in 1969? I can't even believe that.
Yeah.
And I know that's not the final.
Oh, it goes up. It goes up. Before the season even started, Pilots manager Marvin Milks traded rookie Lou Piniella to the Kansas City Royals. Piniella went on to win American League Rookie of the Year. Mm-hmm. Milks was almost fired for the decision. Piniella would return to Seattle as general manager of the Mariners from 1993 to 2002. Lou.
Oh, sweet Lou.
Lou, yeah.
I miss you, sweet Lou. Mm-hmm. Come back, sweet Lou.
He's listening. He's a big listener of the podcast.
He's like number 698. I feel it.
Mm-hmm. Sick Stadium would need to be expanded to act as a new temporary home. That winter was one of the worst on record, and it halted construction of the new seats. At the home opener, April 11th, 1969, against the Chicago White Sox, some fans had to wait in a long line outside for their seats to be installed. So the game has started, and they're waiting to get in line, and they are still constructing the stadium.
Hopefully not out of baseball bats and baseballs.
No, just hope. But they're almost out of hope at this point.
The hope meter's low.
The Seattle Pilots won their first game 7-0. And this would not be indicative of the rest of the season. Sick Stadium was a mess. There were more than 10,000, when there were more than 10,000 people in the stadium that held over 20,000, the toilets stopped flushing. So if the stadium's half full, the toilets don't work anymore.
Well, so is that because they're full, or
the water pressure? They wouldn't have the water pressure for it. Yeah. It wouldn't just because the stadium wouldn't just know, like, oh, I am not handling that much sewage. Attendance was low and the team was not doing well. Ticket and concession prices went up from the days of the minor leagues. Visiting teams showered in their hotels because there was no water pressure at the stadium.
All right, yeah, okay.
And the construction of the Kingdome was taking longer than expected.
I'm shocked.
12 sites were looked at, and the Sorianos were trying to build at the Seattle Center. There was a major pushback from preservationists who wanted the site of the 1962 World's Fair to remain as it was, a campus for the city to enjoy, not a ballpark.
So they wanted to preserve the concrete jungle that they created.
Well, I mean, Seattle Center has parks, and it's got public spaces, and it's got buildings that you can have their theaters and.
But a baseball park is a park.
But it's a different
it's
kind
of
park.
Yeah, but
you've convinced me.
Okay,
you've changed my mind with your sound reasoning and articulate
I'm thinking
arguments.
of it over there, and I'm like, God, wouldn't Key Arena be a much better baseball stadium? Not that I have a problem with the Kingdome. I have many problems with the Kingdome.
What, like the falling tiles or the
I literally had nightmares. I literally had nightmares about going to the Kingdome.
Really?
Growing up.
Okay.
Well, I'll get to those when we get to that.
Yeah, sounds good.
If it ever gets completed. Maybe under budget? Who knows?
I don't
Continue
know.
on, Chris.
It's already taken longer than 5 weeks to complete, so it's not as good as Dugdale
worst
Park in this
stadium
point.
ever.
Yeah. The Sorianos blame the city for the setbacks. People weren't attending games of the new Major League team and were fighting them for the creation of a new stadium. It was clear to everyone that the Sorianos were way out of their depth. Joe Cronin, president of the American League, openly speculated if the Pilots needed to be relocated to another city. Seattle theater owner Fred Dans and hotel executive Eddie Carlson attempted to buy the team but were unsuccessful. Mayor Wes Ullman threatened to sue the American League if they pulled the Pilots and got the support of Governor Dan Evans and Senator Warren G. Magnuson, among others.
Oh, these guys.
Heavy hitters.
Oh, big time.
William Daley, a top investor in the Pilots, said the team had 1 year to turn it around. But they were not even given that long.
This sounds vaguely familiar to other things that have happened in this city.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The Pilots finished their first season 34-74-1 at home and 30-51 on the road. And they finished the season dead last.
I don't know a team from here that would ever do that. Baseball team.
We typically don't have disappointing sports teams around here.
Not at
so,
all. No.
yeah.
This is so weird.
January of 1970, the Sorianos, their business associates in the American League, decided to sell the team to Bud Selig, who would later go on to become the commissioner of Major League Baseball, and move the team to Milwaukee.
Yep.
Yeah. Mayor Ullman sued. The Pilots were broke, they owed $3.5 million to the Bank of California, and were unable to pay. The lawsuit went forward, but due to the team's financial trouble, on March 30th, 1970,
The FBI broke into the stadium during a game and demanded to see the receipts.
Yeah, and then they threw the $3.5 million in the air.
Here's your money, Mayor, whatever your name is.
So Judge...
Senator Madison?
Goddamn Senator Magnuson.
Magnuson. Oh, like the park.
Yeah,
Magnuson Park.
that's who it's named after.
Bam. Mm-hmm. It's all circular.
It's all circular. The original name of this podcast is So That's Why the Streets Are Named That.
so that's that middle school I go to.
Yeah. Judge Sidney Vollen ordered that the team accept the sale to Milwaukee for $10.8 million. The Pilots had been in Seattle exactly 1 week short of a year.
So the team at that point was worth 1/4 of what the Kingdom was supposed to cost.
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough.
Oh man, I hadn't even thought about it like that. But yeah. Yeah, $40 million was the estimated cost of the Kingdom. And they sold for 10.8.
Yeah.
The team moved, and the name was changed to the Milwaukee Brewers.
Suds.
Yeah, who still plays today. Appeals were
Not
made...
very well. I'll have you know.
If you can call that playing. Appeals were made, and battles raged in the court for years. By 1974, the sale had gone through, Seattle was still fighting, and the Kingdom still wasn't completed.
Have you seen pictures of it, like mid?
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of them. Yeah. Because it took so long to build.
I can't wait for all those Bertha pictures to
Oh, my God. Bertha. If it ever gets filled.
Come on. I mean, if Boston can take that much time, it's going to happen.
It's
just
going to
going
hit something else again. Yeah.
Man.
It's already, 2.5 years behind schedule? I mean, it was supposed to be done last spring.
Right.
Yeah. The American League demurred a bit and agreed to give Seattle a franchise once the stadium was completed.
Yeah.
The King County Multi-Purpose Domed Stadium, better known as the Kingdome, which is just a great name. It's a name worthy of the beauty of the building itself.
What is
the King County Multi-Purpose Domed Stadium.
Yes. I remember many purposes for that.
Yeah.
I went to the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
I ate
a $9 hot dog?
Yeah. Some ice cream?
Yeah.
Possibly. Well, malted things with a wooden spoon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, yeah. Those are great. Those are really great. I
do
forgot
not
all about
exist
those.
anymore, yeah.
Oh, man. Kids today, they're getting those garlic fries and stuff like that.
And those spoons with like an actual spoon shape in them.
Oh, man. I totally forgot about you have the little plank of wood.
Yeah.
And that was so good.
Dude, so good.
Kingdome opened March 27th, 1976. So this is about 7 years after they start building it. The Seahawks would make their debut game in the new stadium that fall, but Seattle still didn't have a baseball team.
They won their first game, I believe.
The Seahawks?
Yeah.
Did they? I'm not sure. I don't have that in my notes. They also played, in 1979, the worst game in the history of the NFL.
Yes, they did.
Where they got, -7 yards over the course of the game.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Seattle sports.
Yeah.
They're hot.
Yeah. The $32 million lawsuit against the American League dragged on to the court until 1977. The American League offered to give Seattle a franchise if they agreed to drop the suit. April 6th, 1977, the Seattle Mariners played their first home game at the Kingdome. It became home of the Mariners for less than 20 years when the decision was made in 1995 to build a new stadium.
Well, I just want you to know that the first game there was played in 1977. I attended my first game in April of 78.
Oh, really?
I was 2 months old.
Oh, wow.
3 months old.
How well do you remember the game?
We lost, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a memory of that, or are you just extrapolating?
No, I'm just basically
data?
any game I went to between 0 and 10, we probably lost. Because we didn't have our first winning season until soon before that happened. The new stadium came in.
Wow, yeah. Yeah, they didn't do very well for a long time.
Do you know how much the Kingdom ultimately cost?
I don't actually have that in my notes.
Because the $32 million that we were suing them for, plus the $10 million that the team was sold for, that could have paid for it.
That could have paid for it, but
if it cost
$40 million, I'm sure the city contracts like that always go way, way over budget.
And this city's so good at managing contracts.
Yeah. After all the trouble of getting a team without a stadium, the Mariners were threatened to leave Seattle if a new stadium wasn't built. So they said we need a stadium with a dome, and now they're saying we're going to leave if we don't get a stadium without a dome.
Right.
Yeah, in just a few short years. The Mariners played their first game at Safeco Field, July 15th, 1999.
I never thought of it. That really isn't a lot of time.
No, not at all.
It's like 17 years.
Yeah, for a building that big. Well, they played. Let's see here. They played until 1999, and they played their first game in 1977. Yeah, that's 22 years.
22 years.
22
years.
years.
I thought you said 1995, but yeah, no. July 15th, 1999. I actually have a picture of Jamie Moyer's first pitch at that game.
Oh yeah,
in my house.
Cool. Yeah, so 22 years for this massive, massive stadium. And then the Kingdome was imploded March 26th, 2000.
In glorious, glorious nature.
Oh, it was great.
It's so beautiful.
It was gorgeous to watch that go down.
I literally grew up with nightmares of going to that place. We lived in Ballard at the time, and we would take my grandparents lived on Market and 65th, essentially, right in the heart of right in the heart of Ballard. And we would take the bus down the 15 all the way down to downtown. And back then, when the Kingdome was still around, there was a yellow brick road along the waterfront, and you would follow the yellow brick road that was painted on the ground.
Oh my god!
And it would go to the front of the parking lot, essentially where the CenturyLink parking lot is right now. Right?
I had forgotten all about that.
So we would follow that all the way to the game, and then we'd have to walk on those huge concourses all the way around the damn thing. And my parents, I had 4 brothers and a sister, so 3 brothers and 1 sister. We couldn't afford to buy nice seats, so we were always sitting in the nosebleeds. And in the Kingdome, oh my god, it was steep up there. It got pretty scary, especially if you're 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. I would just have terrible nightmares. I remember when it exploded, I was so happy because I literally stopped having nightmares about it after it exploded.
Really?
I had nightmares about it into my teens.
I remember I have a soft spot in my heart for the Kingdome, though. I have good memories of going to the Kingdome.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
To me, it was always the same. I would be walking on the concourse, and it would get thinner and thinner and thinner. And as you're scaling, around the outside of the dome, and then the wall would get shorter and shorter and shorter.
Yeah.
Until eventually I'm just essentially scaling along the side of the wall. Yeah. Me and heights don't get along. Thank you, Kingdome. Thank you.
The Safeco's pretty steep too. I was there a couple weeks ago, and I was up in the nosebleeds, and yeah, it's pretty steep. That's just the nature of a stadium.
I guess so.
So do you have nightmares about Safeco now?
No. Well, we'll see after this season.
We'll see. We'll see. Knock on wood. So, Six Stadium was demolished and replaced with an industrial building that housed the CX Corporation from Switzerland. There is now a Lowe's Hardware on the site.
Yes, I have shopped there quite frequently.
Do you? Yes. Then at the front door there is a plaque of home plate and a batting box.
Yep.
Safeco Field is still the home of the Seattle Mariners. To this day.
To this day.
As of this recording.
Right now.
Mm-hmm.
We will see how well they play if it doesn't get torn down. Bertha might take it out. Who the heck knows?
I don't think the Earth is starting well north. And it's not supposed to go south.
I don't know how that thing works. Maybe it's got a rocket engine on the front. It's going to shoot it out the back of the... I don't know.
It'll be more efficient if we put explosives onto it. We're going to give it a nuclear reactor just to be on the safe side.
Be on the safe, fast side. Well...
Yeah, and that's basically... That's an abbreviated version of baseball in Seattle.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I knew you're a big baseball fan.
It's such a long and sordid tale here. You know, you look back to a point when none of us actually would even probably recognize baseball. It was probably played. It just looked a little different back then. We used to win. That's the really awful thing about it, is that we used to win pennants, and it was a lot of fun. And it's not like it's not fun. I mean, 2001 was a crazy year, the poorest year of my life, and I couldn't make it down to the stadium that much.
Oh, really? That's too bad.
I'd just come back from college, working at a video store. Really poor.
I was living out of state at the time, and I wasn't really following it. I kept hearing about how great the Mariners are doing. I was like, the Seattle Mariners? Seattle is
with
doing
an Ichiro? Who's this Ichiro?
Yeah.
Well, I love it.
Excellent.
I love it.
Well, thank you for listening to the Seattle Files. Thank you so much, Justin, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'll be back next Tuesday with a new topic and a new episode. If you have a suggestion for something you would like to hear an episode about, shoot me an email at theseattlefiles@gmail.com. Be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe, rate, and leave a review in iTunes. I've got some live appearances coming up. I'm going to be at doing a live recording of an episode at Central Cinema on July 14th. That's a Thursday night. We're going to be doing an episode on Northwest Cryptozoology, and then doing live audio commentary for Harry and the Hendersons.
Awesome.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Nancy Guppy from Almost Live is going to be on that show, along with Doug Willott and Allison Lures, who have been on the show before. And I'm doing Bumbershoot this year, live recording at Bumbershoot with special guests John Keister, David B. Williams, and Kate Yeager. We haven't quite gotten the date for when during Bumbershoot we're going to be, but check back, and I'll be putting that up on our Facebook page and the website and things like that. So thank you for listening. I'll be back next Tuesday. We'll 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 be back next Tuesday.